White guys. Wow, 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 wow.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pond. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. Right guys, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Look at this ragtag group we've got in here today. Our old friend Brad Williams.
Yeah.
He's
Hello,
at the
sir.
Dania Improv this weekend. Lucy has returned from her hijinks.
About time.
She brought me back a terrible gift.
What? It was a poem written with love.
Not by you, written by a street poet. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Do you hate the street poets at Le Batard Show?
She was great.
The poem was not.
She tried her best. She didn't watch sports. So I asked her, she came up to me and was like, do you want to buy a poem? I was like, oh yeah, I want to buy a poem. Thank you. This is a great opportunity. I said, I didn't get Dan anything in Seattle. Can you write a poem about my boss, Dan? And then she said, I don't know your boss, Dan. I said, well, that's a great point. So you probably can't write a poem about him. So I asked her to write a poem about sports because I know you like sports. She didn't know sports either. And so she did the best she could. But I thought it was beautiful.
Okay, we'll see. We'll all test your judgment right here. The competition of my desire. I crawl, I dance, I pray upon a moment of pure truth. My dear, understand that I yearn for something beyond. A win in which I exist. Is there more to life than this success? Success is misspelled. Tell me the truth beyond this moment. I know nothing if not where my passion leads me. I am alive as I pray. See me for more than what I appear to be.
That just sounds like you.
I thought that was good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, so I aired. Evidently, it is the poem industry cannot be thriving.
Well, I paid her probably way more than
They're
I should
killing
have, so
it.
definitely they're doing better today.
Am I the only one who detected notes of tension in that? That was a very, I mean, you told her it's for your boss.
But she didn't know Dan, and
So
so.
she went-
But I
Sounds
still
like
think
she does.
It still fit.
It's got to be a tough way to make a living, poetry. Gotta be really hard.
Let's ask Drake.
You mean Tua?
He looks more like Anthony Anderson. Put it on the poll. Does Tua look more like Drake or Anthony Anderson? At
That's
Le
really
Batard
good.
Show. He surprised me with the cornrows. Caught me totally off guard.
As a white guy from Orange County, California, I don't feel like I can comment on this.
You can be caught off guard by it. No,
I can be caught off guard, but I just feel like any opinion I have is going to be wrong.
Mike, you're making faces as if you knew Tua was going to go cornrows.
I'm making faces as if I don't care at all.
Okay,
Excuse me.
fair enough. Sorry to bore you.
No, it's just what am I going to say about him? Hey, cornrows. Well, nice talking to you.
You don't have any more subject matter
No,
other than that.
I don't. For the record, I don't think he looks like Anthony Anderson either.
Is this the heel turn? Is this what this is? Like, this is the. Remember when, like when Grant Hill was like, he's too nice, and then it's like he turns into the bad boy or whatever. Is this his bad boy phase right here?
I think his bad boy phase is when he went after Ryan Clark. I think that was
Yeah, put some respect on my name.
yes. He was legitimately pissed off. I want to start though before we get to some of the things in local sports. I just want to talk for a second because I've not yet figured out how to do this in a way that's not unpleasant to everybody. I want to talk about the weather because in my lifetime, living in South Florida, what has happened over the last 24 hours, in my experience, has never before happened with a storm that doesn't have a name and goes unrelentingly for 24 straight hours of 40-mile-an-hour winds that were, shaking the windows in my home. And it was like there was clearly debris flying all over the place. And when I drove in today, there was all sorts of stuff in the streets and all sorts of flooding because from Broward County, where they canceled school today, to Key West, 6 inches of rain everywhere. I've just never seen a weather map like that for 24 hours is just 40-mile-an-hour winds the entire time. And I want to figure out how to change how it is that we talk about this, because I haven't done it successfully yet. I know we feel hopeless in the face of it. I know that impending doom is coming because scientists will all tell you they underestimated all of their worst calculations, and that doom is headed this way in a way that's obvious. It's not going to get better from here if we don't stop with the fossil fuels. It's only going to get worse. And what I'm telling you is what I experienced over the last 24 hours in South Florida is something I've never experienced in all of my life living here.
Now, Dan, imagine what you just experienced being a 6-foot whatever man. Now put that in a 4-foot man as I'm trying to cross the street last night, looking at certain puddles going, this could be it. This could be where I go, because the water was moving very fast. I forgot my floaties. I can't swim. I have a very large head that sinks. I have a very fat butt that floats. That's not good for swimming. I'm very nervous. Florida is not a good climate for me.
He instantly goes upside down.
I do. I turn into a fly girl in a club, just face down, ass up, like that's me, instantly in a puddle. Here lies Brad, killed by puddle. That could happen.
You were worried about the water. For me, it was the wind. I was trying to bring things in that had broken
Don't get me started on the wind.
off my balcony, and I am 240 pounds, and I was scared that at any point a gust could come that I could not maintain.
If I randomly opened my jacket, I could have turned into one of those squirrel suit guys.
I wish I had
just
the
flying
visual.
away.
I wish I had the visual of Dan like bracing as if he was going to be lifted.
As if he was going to be swept away by the wind.
I've got the wind going up to Dan and say, oh, excuse me, pardon me.
How did you guys sleep last night? Juju, how did you, how did you sleep last night with the amount of wind, the howling of the wind?
I thought Casper, the friend of Gus, was in my room last night. Every 5 minutes, I woke up like throughout the night because the wind was howling off the glass like 1,000 miles an hour. I ended up going to the living room and clutching my pearls because I was afraid.
I thought Casper was getting some.
Against the spread.
That's what it sounded like. It was moaning. I was like, hey, get a room. Not mine, though.
How am I to discuss this in a way that doesn't make everyone feel both helpless and hopeless? Because the only thing we can do, and keep in mind, I'm spending, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but very often on weekends, I'm talking in these conference calls to activists who are talking about civil disobedience around the globe because our leaders are failing us here.
Just on your free time?
No, it's something I'm doing on the weekends to see if there's anything that can be done. If there's anything that can be done that would make me feel slightly less helpless with what's approaching this way. And it's just not far away. Like, to me, I don't understand climate science deniers when the wind is howling that way outside your window.
Who else is on these conference calls?
I mean, a whole lot of people.
Adam McKay. Picture just like random celebrities from around here. Just
Oh,
like, we
no,
got to
yeah,
do something.
no,
Wilmer Valderrama.
Kendall from Succession, Mark Ruffalo. Yes. And
What can we do? Let's all get on a call.
You're in a climate change support group
John
with
Hamm.
Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah, John Hamm puts in the Chad Hambone in the house.
Where's Gal Gadot? She's got to be in this one, too.
Eduardo Nahara is also in there.
So no one has a way for me to discuss this.
I mean,
think we're doing it.
Nah, I pacify myself by saying, hey, hurricane season was pretty chill. Sure, we had a blustery storm, but that's happened before. 2000, the no-name storm, that did more damage to South Florida than most hurricanes had brushed against it at the time. You know, we're all going to die.
Hurricane season was pretty chill other than that loss of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty bad.
The part,
Can I just get some floaties?
I
I just want some floaties.
The way that I get scared here, though, is these things used to come with warnings. Is the other part. Like nobody, like it used to be. Somebody was telling me what was approaching. What just happened in Acapulco, where it goes from something that they're just telling you is a storm to a Category 5. Like the thing that has always made me feel safe in South Florida during hurricane season is that I'm allowed to have a brace for it. I'm allowed the warning of you need to get out of here. I think we're losing whatever that time was because this didn't have warning. Nobody was talking about the meteorological map looking like that yesterday.
I mean, we have really bad thunderstorms down here that just pop up, and it's a part of the summer. I think the only surprising thing is that this happened in mid-November. But, I mean, that's what happened last night was no worse than your very rainy thunderstorm season down here in South Florida.
The wind part was normal?
No.
Yeah, down here in
No.
downtown, you haven't, when you've been saying with us doing the show, you haven't really been downtown for a big thunderstorm. The wind tunnels here are insane, which is why that book fair just got totally leveled over there, because the wind over here, when it's going through all those buildings, goes like 5 times faster than it actually is.
That is true. What is unusual, though, Mike, and what I haven't experienced before, is it going for 24 hours straight. You're talking about wind tunnels downtown. I'm talking about off the water on the beach where it's 24 straight hours where it doesn't let up. That's not something I've seen before.
that was surprising, and that I can only draw a comparison to that to the No Name Storm, which did far more damage in terms of flooding. That was a really wet storm.
It took out a book fair?
Yeah, the book fair.
An outdoor book fair. Perfect timing.
Not a good time for books in Florida.
That is a sign from God, folks.
Also, Stugotz was out there celebrating because he loves the destruction of anything that is books and reading and information and learning. I don't believe that Miami Beach, I used to laugh with people at the idea of Miami Beach has one bookstore. I don't think that even exists anymore. I think the one that was there is
Hustler?
gone. The bookstore over here, or the book fair over here, people aren't reading as much, correct? The book fair has to have taken a hit
they did
beyond
set
the
up
weather.
shop right at a college. You would think that that's the audience.
I need to make a formal apology to Mike Ryan. I've discovered the world of audiobooks now. Oh, my God. Oh, why haven't I been doing this?
Look at you, so well read now.
Walking around, just listening to the book. Yeah. No, this is amazing.
An intellectual.
Yeah.
What have you read recently?
Oh, just stuff on Spotify. Little Spotify audiobook action. Now it's free, so if you got Spotify.
I'm almost done with Heat 2, and that one's taking me a good 8 months.
Damn. How long's that book?
I mean, we made the playoffs and finals in both sports, so I kind of lost track. But the guy, the voice talent that does the fake Pacino, and that is incredible.
To answer your question, no, people don't read anymore, not just because of the magic of audiobooks, but also because people are reading on tablets and on phones. People aren't buying physical books anymore. And if they do, by the way, they're not going to a bookstore or a book fair. They're going to Amazon. They're getting it delivered, sometimes same-day delivery. Again, why are we mad at Jeff Bezos? This guy's amazing. I know he's done awful things to awful people, but look, he makes my life so much easier. And if I don't like it, I send it back, and sometimes he says, keep it. I'll give you your money back.
Pride of a Lion now available in the bookstores everywhere.
I know he's done awful things to good people, or
an awful lot of people is what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that you skipped over that part.
Yeah. In terms of evil billionaires, I got
a lot of people.
He's lower. Maybe he doesn't even make the metal scene.
Hey, my first 2 specials are streaming on Amazon Prime. Fun Size, Daddy Issues. So you can go there and watch those if you want to.
Got Elon. People feel some kind of way about Bill Gates, Jerry Jones.
No, he's not top
In terms
3.
of evil billionaires?
Top 3? No, get out of here.
Go ahead and see if you can put together a list with the help of the internet on evil billionaires. I'm assuming some dictators. Putin and an assortment of oligarchs are probably in the mix there to get some evil billionaire credits. Locally in sports here, while we have Amin, who will be leaving after the first hour and then returning, I did want to talk about some Miami Heat basketball and the idea that the Miami Heat seem to play, and I understand that the schedule recently has been filled with bad teams, but sample size isn't small. I mean, that the Heat have decent success whenever Tyler Hero is out. That's not a thing we're making up. I know for a long time, Bill Simmons, I think, invented the Ewing theory, which is your best player leaves and your team is still sort of good or can on occasion look better than when your best player is there. And it's a bit of a confusion. But Tyler Hero, when he's out, the Heat have made the finals twice, and they just ran off 6 straight games. Explain to me what's happening there with your expertise of why it is that when Tyler Hero misses some time, we've got a sample size that suggests that the Heat are pretty okay.
Just a quick correction. They did make the finals in the bubble with a healthy Tyler Hero. They made it to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals 2 seasons ago when Tyler was hurt, and obviously the NBA Finals last year.
Thank you.
I think, to my eye, defensively they just get a lot better. But offensively, they do struggle. That's the part that I think people gloss over. If your math is just wins and losses, binary, 1 or 0, then it's like it's easy to come to that conclusion. But the reality is this is still, even with this 6-game winning streak, one of the worst offenses in the league. Not just overall, but in the half court, they're 24th in the league in offense. They're just not good at scoring points. And now we're going on 2 seasons of this, of they're not good at scoring points. So there's no world where you can tell me we're better without one of our best offensive players for a team that's starved for it.
The thing with Tyler that's interesting is they went 7-8 in last regular season.
Push through.
They went, yeah, I got it. I'll get it.
$5.
They went 7-8 last season without him when he didn't play in the regular season. You get to the postseason, and you get one of the all-time great individual performances in the history of the league from Jimmy Butler to beat the Bucks. You're better than the Knicks because the Knicks were not actually that good. Mm-hmm. And you only beat the Boston Celtics in large part because Caleb Martin went crazy. You had a guy step up and nearly win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP who played instead of Tyler Hero in that respect. But I would make the argument that the reason the Heat didn't go to the finals the year before is because Tyler Hero wasn't playing against the Boston Celtics. Their offense struggles mightily when he's not there. He's their best creator for others and for himself as an isolation player. And yes, they're winning games without him in the regular season. It's a shame that last year's playoffs sort of confirms a false narrative because you had some of the greatest individual performances of all time.
This is what the Heat scored game by game against the Nuggets in the finals. 93 in today's NBA, 93 points, right? 111 points, that was the win. 94 points. 95 points. And in an elimination game, 89 points. It's all good. Everyone's like, defense wins championships. You also have to score. It's not one or the other. It's a balance. And so, yes, you can say, hey, we held the Nuggets to 94 points in an elimination game. That's great. We scored 89, though.
It's also better than most teams did against Denver the last 3 years.
Sure.
And it wasn't enough.
Sure, but we scored 89 points. We scored 98 points per 100 possessions. This is atrocious. It's atrocious by any metric, but it's atrocious by the standard of today where offense has all the advantages. You still, and by the way, that number's inflated by a Jimmy Butler heater that happened at the end of that game that was over with like 5 minutes to go.
It is an interesting narrative, though, because I think the evidence is beyond circumstantial. They've never had a win streak like this over the last couple of seasons, and they made an incredible run of form in the last postseason. These are all without Tyler Hero, so I don't think that you can ignore the talking point, although you guys are pretty convincing. For me, with the recent run of form for Miami has a lot more to do with the opponents. Depending on your thought of the Los Angeles Lakers right now, I think they're a game over 500 or maybe at 500. The best win on this recent streak is probably Atlanta, right? They're beating up on bad teams.
Atlanta's not something that you go home and put on your fridge.
Right.
Beat Atlanta.
Right. I think when you apply the context of who wasn't available to them in Atlanta, then you can talk yourself into it being a more impressive victory. So I think this probably has more to do with who they're playing than Tyler Hero.
This part is fair. Obviously, you always have to look at the schedule, but I would say to you, okay, because I don't think it's fair to do this. Winning road games in the NBA is hard, and they had a tough stretch that they were starting. After starting whatever it was, 1-4, they had like 17 of 19 days they were going to be on the road, and they won all of them. So, like, winning all of them, bad teams or not, winning all of them went from you were yelling and screaming that they're not even going to make the play-in tournament to they went to third in the East by winning all of the road games.
The thing that also matters here is that the role players have stepped up. Duncan Robinson's playing the best basketball we've seen him play in years. We've talked about it on the show. Josh Richardson has played a lot better than he did in those first handful of games. Kyle Lowry stepped up in a couple of games where he became their primary ball handler.
Juan Wick looks good.
Yeah, well, Jaime Jaquez Jr. has been fantastic, and offensively, he's really already grown into a guy who he probably won't leave the rotation. And now the Heat are just looking almost at an embarrassment of riches when it comes to their rotation, because now that Caleb Martin comes back tonight, this team is really deep.
Yeah, I mean, or really lucky to be playing the Chicago Bulls in 2 out of the next 3, and then after that, the schedule gets really difficult. And yes, it's cool to say that they're 3rd in the East. They're also 2 games away from being 11.
But winning 4 games on the road in a row with a scheduled loss in back-to-back nights where you're going from Charlotte to San Antonio it matters.
The murderer's row of a
course not,
scheduled
but
loss of the Charlotte Hornets
No, but you
and
lose
the San
back-to-back
Antonio
games.
Spurs.
You lose back-to-back road games. Every good team in the NBA loses that.
Not even
that
me at
game
my
often.
worst. Not even me at my worst, Jeremy.
It also looks like Bam has, I'm going to say it, taken a step.
He has taken a step.
That's a huge
Dude,
part. Too.
offensively,
Idris no more.
What?
he looks good, dude. He looks really
What?
good.
Wait a minute.
care
Hold
about
on.
you, Amin.
Hold on, Amin. Are you ready to do this? Because I would have made the argument that the story of the last 6 games for this team has been Jaime Jaquez. They're trusting him in the 4th quarter. He's playing all 4th quarters. But if you're here to tell me that Bam has taken a step, if you're here to tell me that Amin is willing to call him Bam again, I will say that is the biggest story with the Heat in the last 6 games.
It is small sample size theater, Dan. I'm going to admit to that. I'm a patron, but I think this is real. I think he's finally made that leap of understanding of, I have to do it every night. And that's the burden of stardom. It's not I'll do it when I can or I'll do it when you need me to. So I do it every night. That's what we pencil in. And then everything else happens around that. And I think that's kind of what it is required to be that guy, is you have to have the scouting report is all about you. We know they're going to try and stop you from doing these things, and you're still going to do them. And so far, he's done those things. So I salute Bam Adebayo, not Idris.
That is crazy what he just said. He is willing to call him Bam.
I wanted to go back to one thing that Jeremy said, though. Embarrassment of riches.
Thank you.
I always love that term because I imagine someone sitting in a room full of gold and, platinum.
Josh Richardson over here and Jaime Jaquez.
Haywood Highsmith.
And then
Haywood's been nice on defense.
No,
You haven't been watching.
I'm doing the thing where I do every year where there's a role player where I'm like, well, there's $15 million right there. We did it again.
You got a guest who comes in and say, hey, Jeremy, how's it going? Like, oh, please don't look. It's such a mess. I just have too many riches here. I'm so embarrassed.
If you don't think that that's how Eric Spoelstra feels right now, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, let me move my Cole Swider. Sorry, that's just laying there.
The thing that Mike is saying that is funny is I, too, am imagining treasure chests and pirate booty and baubles and a magic carpet and Haywood Highsmith. And it is embarrassment of riches is slightly overstated when what you're doing is just going through the Heat bench.
He absolutely locked down LaMelo Ball after bothering Victor Wembanyama the night before. We are not slandering Haywood Highsmith
The
here.
riches are 2-way contracts.
I've been on the Highsmith train for quite a while. Last year, I said, Spo, why you stop playing him when he was one of the few effective people in that finals?
You remember when he scored 18 points in the NBA Finals? That was crazy.
One of the strangest flexes in the history of this program is Amin saying he was the first on the Haywood Highsmith train.
Wasn't the first. I was early, though. I got my seat nice and early.
Okay, but embarrassment of riches, I think of the Golden State Warriors with Durant.
Not Orlando Robinson.
Thomas Bryant looks like a genie. Like I could see rubbing a bottle, and Thomas Bryant comes out.
He don't look like no damn genie, like Kazam. That's what you're doing there.
Hawkins looks more like a genie if we're doing this.
Wait, what are you doing?
What are you?
I rub a lamp and Jaime Hawkins
We haven't
comes
even
out. That's what I'm
mentioned
doing.
Kevin Love. Oh, the riches.
Caleb Martin comes back today, guys.
Steve Martin also.
was a prop comic. Like many,
Don't
he
mind the R.J.
stops
Hampton.
listening when Jeremy's talking. All right, I'm feeling slightly less crazy now as I read about this because we got 80,000 people here locally without power this morning, and the winds were in Miami Beach and Dania Beach 75 miles an hour, and
That's named storm stuff.
Key Largo was 86 miles an hour.
Whoa.
I knew so when I say I was worried on my balcony, like I was not imagining this. What I was looking as I was watching all these things fly by.
And what are your measurements?
I'm 240.
OSHA violation.
Come on. Just whisper. Really, what are you?
You want to get a scale? You can go find if you can find a scale here. I'll step on it.
No,
That's Dan's version of look it up.
Do we not have a scale here? If somebody has,
Get a scale.
Surely somebody will have a scale here, and then we can embarrass me as a fat liar.
We do have a scale, and don't call me Shirley.
A big fat liar is what it is that you could literally call me by bringing a scale.
Well,
Okay, Paul Giamatti.
we just had different experiences with it because I live more westward, inward, and I wasn't getting that kind of wind. So I'm stunned to find out that there was 85-mile-per-hour winds in the Keys.
No, I saw it on what I saw on my way in was just a bunch of trees in the street and garbage in the street and things that had collapsed, like just fences and stuff that had collapsed. It felt like driving after a hurricane that we get down here. And again, the thing that's strange about it to me is these things have always had warning. They never catch us by surprise.
You saw Jaylen Brown dribbling with his left hand in the street?
I'm seeing that an average person, so we got to remember average person, can be moved by 67 miles per hour wind. An average car can be moved by 90.
This is terrifying to me. 67 miles. What the hell? Oh, my God. Oh, a strong fan is going to send me across the room.
Brad's in orbit.
Oh. By the way, perfectly safe inside the Dania Improv this weekend to see me do stand-up comedy. Get your tickets now, BradWilliamsComedy.com.
I think the bad weather's gone tonight, so this should be good for your show.
He's also got a theater tour starting in 2024. He's got new special Starfish. It is out December 21st. And if you want more information, BradWilliamsComedy.com for all things Brad Williams. But your ass floats and your head sinks is what you're saying.
Are you writing lyrics right now?
I mean, you wrote them before. You walk.
I thought you were reading the poem. So
That was Uncle Luke.
Can you guys get me the useless sound that has never been later? We are closer to next week's games than we are to the previous week's games, and we have
there is a game tonight. The next week starts tonight.
But we have the useless sound finally. It got in here very, very late. Billy's not even here today, but let's see what him and Taylor put together with an assortment of useless sound from the NFL weekend.
You know, the most important thing for us, man, I wanted us to play fast, physical, and violent. And I did feel that way in all three phases.
We made the necessary splash plays on defense.
I say all the time at halftime, you're winning, losing, or it's tied.
I think he's played well at times, and then at times he hasn't.
Our guys, fought their tails off to give themselves a chance, but you can't keep digging yourself into these holes and think you're going to be able to come back all the time.
We challenged our team to go out there and compete for 4 quarters, and I felt from the opening kickoff to the final whistle, we did that, and I'm confident if we continue with this, that we will end up on the other side of this.
We obviously got to look at ourselves in the mirror and figure some things out.
And you have your football team all looking inward and trying to be the best versions of themselves for that greater good of trying to accomplish something special. I am of the belief that we can continue to go out and write our own story, and we're holding the pen.
We came off the sideline and guys were talking about it. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, dang it. Like I was mad, sort of.
It's football, every Sunday not going to be our day, today it wasn't.
Throughout the week, I try to just stay calm, cool, collected.
This is the National Football League. You get knocked on your ass, and it's not whether you get back up, it's how you get up.
Losing's never fun, but, I thought we battled today.
I got to be better for the guys, for the team, everyone battling.
We're not there yet, but I always use the bye week to evaluate myself and the team and everything I can do better, and there's a lot of things clearly I need to do better, and I'm always going to work. I know that.
Really appreciative of the effort. I thought our bigs up front on offense did a really good job of kind of controlling it. I thought we were able to run the ball effectively, and that's a good posture to play from.
Obviously, a lot to work on, a lot to be better at. Every loss is demoralizing.
Later in the game, man, when it gets a little bit thick, I thought we would have our opportunities, and we did, and we made them.
Sets a standard of who we should be and who we can be and who we're going to be.
we just got to find a way, dig deeper.
We're in this thing together. We're battling together. We're fighting together. And, we believe in us.
It's about us. It's not one individual. It's not the quarterback. It's not the safety. It's about us.
I didn't do a good enough job for us today.
I mean, that was just us as a whole. When we're able to execute and do the things that we're capable of doing, we get good results.
This is about us. This is about us running our own race, and no matter what the score is, the other opponent, what they're going through, what's tough for them, young quarterback, whatever, we're trying to build. We're trying to build and become a better team, and as I said, show our best performance and best versions of ourselves each week.
You don't feel it on the field. It's not it's not something that affects. It doesn't affect my play. That's not a reason. I have to be better because of me. It's not some outstanding circumstance. I have to be better. I have to push myself. I have to be better. There's no excuse. There's no external. In the game, you don't think about that. That's not something that's going through your mind.
It's like me speaking Italian.
Did we just get introduced to Tommy DeVito?
That is Bryce Young.
Let's go back for a second and dissect this, because Bryce Young is under it in Carolina because, at least in part, because C.J. Stroud looks so good and Carolina looks ostensibly just totally lost and hopeless. Let's hear, because this is the verbal manifestation of what he looks like in the pocket.
You don't feel it on the field. It's not It's not something that affects. It doesn't affect my play. That's not a reason. I have to be better because of me. It's not some outstanding circumstance. I have to be better. I have to push myself. I have to be better. There's no excuse. There's no external. In the game, you don't think about that. That's not something that's going through your mind.
I saw it in my mind's eye. I saw the D lineman swallowing him up like I can't.
He should have been sacked in the middle of that as he stutter stepped, and if somebody giant had run into the room and just tackled him, it would have put him out of his misery as he tried to keep making more reads. One more time on this, because this is some real big time NFL stammering.
You don't feel it on the field. It's not It's not something that affects. It doesn't affect my play. That's not a reason. I have to be better because of me. It's not some outstanding circumstance. I have to be better. I have to push myself. I have to be better. There's no excuse. There's no external. In the game, you don't think about that. That's not something that's going through your mind.
Very relatable.
I do feel, yes, it felt like you reading, but it's also the way I would talk in regular life after I left the stadium if all of those people were chasing me the way they're chasing Bryce Young.
They sounded like they were chasing him in the press conference.
You think if he closes his eyes, he still sees them?
Yes. I believe there are very few things more haunting in professional sports than playing that position when you know you're not playing it well. Like, that has to be terrifying, because it's not just that the other guys can feel that and sense it. It's that the people in your own huddle can. Look at this. In fact, it surprises me that I had taken this long to get to it. It is breaking news in South Florida that we have not had this century. It is being reported that a Patriot has lost the locker room. Mac Jones... This never happens with the Patriots. We are never given. You tell me the last time.
The Lawyer Malloy trade, where Belichick lost the locker room.
Is that right? Who reported that?
When they cut Lawyer Malloy. Yeah, no, it was all crashing down. That was the first time we wrote the Patriots off.
Not the Richard Seymour trade?
The report here is, and I want to get it right, who it is that's reporting it, because you're getting the schisms in the locker room. It's Andrew Callahan is reporting that the players, this is the report, players are done with him. That Mac Jones is going to third string, and that, and God almighty, can you imagine? Think about what I was just saying about the worst thing in sports is being the quarterback who knows he can't play, and everyone around him, as the swirl is happening, knows he can't play. But there is a step that's worse than that. You come right after Tom Brady.
An article from 2003. Four-time Pro Bowler refused pay cut. And here's a quote from Teddy Bruschi. Has it ever been this quiet in here? I don't think it has, linebacker Teddy Bruschi, Malloy's roommate in 1996, said in the locker room. I think shocked is the word. You sort of just shake your head and ask yourself, why?
Bruschi is on the record on ESPN saying Belichick should walk away at the end of the year. He is saying win 7 or 8 games this year, which is not possible, really, with that team. They're at 2-8. And walk away at the end of the year. And now people are talking about whether or not he will survive the year, whether he'll be fired or not. But when you've lost Baghdad Bruschi, I've told the story before. Mike's told the story before. This happened at ESPN. They were furious. The NFL people were that we were calling him Baghdad Bruschi, and then they asked Mike Ryan, "Why do you call him Baghdad Bruschi?" That's how it happened. They were mad because he was a minister of disinformation for the Patriots franchise. But when you've lost him, when he's saying Belichick needs to walk away,
I had to give someone a dissertation on Operation Iraqi Freedom.
No, wait. So we went to Iraq and there was no oil there?
Yeah. Look, even Rob Gronkowski is joining the fray. He says Mac Jones should request a release and then sign with the Browns. It is over in New England.
Gronk is going the opinion route. Gronk has also said that Stephon Diggs, he's like, what are you mad about, Stephon? You're the number 1 receiver. What is it that you want out for? And he's saying that he's leaving Buffalo after this year. I did not have Gronk in the opinion lane. Gronk has spent his entire career not saying interesting things.
What?
He does.
I mean, normally the only opinions I trust Gronk on are like, what size keg are we getting for the party?
Remember when he gave us the term "specie man"? He always says interesting things. Come on.
Forgive me on the hot take. He does say, yes, forgive me. He says funny things accidentally, funny things on purpose, but hot takes haven't been Gronk's thing. He doesn't give you strong opinions on, since when? On other players and what it is that they're going to be doing?
You never asked.
The sexy bodies.
Yes, he's good for the sexy bodies. He's good for the specie man.
Did you see him do stand-up?
Oh, no way.
This is the worst stand-up clip you will ever see in your entire life, Brad Williams. Am I correct or not?
You are not wrong, Juju.
Don't look it up, guys.
Blake Griffin is good, though. He's legitimately good at stand-up comedy, correct?
Blake Griffin is good. I mean, he's a hybrid. He's a basketball player. He's a redhead. He's a stand-up comedian. He's everything.
It's hard to believe that I wouldn't think that Blake Griffin would be good at that.
Oh, he's incredible. I've seen him. Jeff Ross gave him the highest praise. We talked to him at the Comedy Store.
The Hakeem Nicks laugh.
Nikki Glazer's joke about Blake Griffin is still one of my favorites. Blake Griffin looks like a printer that ran out of black ink.
Hey, today's the final day of our Miller Lite sweepstakes, where you can enter for a chance to hang out with us. And you can bring 3 of your friends for a weekend in Miami. You'll hang out for a taping of the show, get to experience our Monday Night Football watch party. I think the Titans are playing the Dolphins that day. It's all presented by Miller Lite. Enter right now. It's the last day to enter. Enter at MillerTimeMiami.com. No purchase necessary. Open to legal U.S. residents age 21 and older. Ends today. Once again, it ends today. See all official rules at MillerTimeMiami.com.
Mike Ryan loves to mock me. I feel very dad and grandpa-ish when he mocks me on the technology stuff, not trusting technology. Most recently, I was complaining about the Face ID that is required all the time for me to like dance with my phone and fill in the entire circle. And Mike Ryan's joke was, really, you're worried about them having your face information when you've been on television for 20 years? But
I think you're talking about setting your Face ID.
Yes.
Just to set it.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't want...
He doesn't want anybody to have his face.
I don't want them to have that many details on my face, and I don't want them to have as much information as they have on me. But I tie this into what happened the other day here with Google Maps, where a hiker, they had to send a helicopter in to rescue a hiker who had been told on Google Maps to follow some phantom trail and ends up walking right off of a cliff. And I'm just curious, because I cannot be the only one distrusting the technology this way. It starts with some of my ignorance and some of the game passing me by on technology. But even among you young people, this must be something that you have some distrust about, that Apple's going to have all of the money and all of your information. Like, they're going to be able to have everything about your personal life. They're listening to you with the phones and everything else, and you don't fear some of this stuff.
I'm not worried about them having all my information, because I grew up as a kid on the internet, and I know I willingly gave out a lot of my information online. Like, as a young kid, I was definitely the one that was like, I'm going to win my family a cruise. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to give them all this info. So they already know everything about me. I don't trust the maps, though, because I'm a walker, and the walking maps are terrible. Like, I was in Charlotte a week ago and Seattle, and I couldn't walk anywhere because it would take me the wrong way every time. And it's very stressful, so it's not good for walking. But outside of that, they already have my information, so I'm not going to stress about it.
Define wrong way.
Like, I not in the direction of where I was going.
As someone between millennial and Gen Z here, I've also grown up with the internet just being something where I was constantly giving out information. And I think if I lived with the anxiety of, oh, they have all my information, I wouldn't have made it to 28 years old. Like, it would be too confounding to be concerned about it, because I've known my whole life, like, all right, there's all the information. They have all of it, and one day they can destroy us all.
We have been doing this for a generation of people. For 2 decades, we've been doing this. And I want to ask, because different people are going to have different experiences with what it is that I was saying yesterday about social media, which is, I want to believe that people are good. I have daily interactions all the time that suggest to me that people are good. And I can't tell on social media whether people are a more honest version of themselves, so therefore people are actually a lot crueler than I experience them to be when they can hide in anonymity or the disguise, or are they a more honest version of themselves on the internet, where they are people who are so angry by life circumstances that it feels good to them to tear down others? I'm genuinely confused. When I say, or when I endorse that Chappelle says Twitter's not a real place, I do so because it comforts me to think the people I'm running into can't actually be this awful with their judgments and their cruelty. This has to be a distortion, an exaggeration, a need for voice, a need to be heard, a need to have your anger expressed. But is it that people are actually worse than I think they are on the internet, or are they a more honest version of themselves on the internet?
I think a lot of it is fronting. So when I was in college, I did like my senior thesis because I got cyberbullied a lot. And I was like, well, this is an easy project. So I reached out to people online who had sent me very mean comments. And I said, hey, I'm going to give you this. It wasn't my actual phone number, but a fake phone number. And you can call me and you can say whatever you want to me. I will let you do it. I just want to know why you said the things that you did. 90% of the time, they would block me. They would be like, screw you, I'm not going to do that. But I finally got one person to agree to it. And they were not, like, they didn't even send me something that mean. And it started off the conversation of them being like, yeah, I don't regret it. I'm glad I said that to you. To 15 minutes later being like, I'm so sorry. I will never do that again. My daughters look up to you. I was like, well, that came out of nowhere. But I think it's something that you just are like masked by this veil. And so I don't actually think people are that bad. They just think they can get away with it. And then when you give them the opportunity to say it to you, they never do.
The shield of anonymity is very real. This happens when I'm doing stand-up all the time, and I'm doing a joke, and someone just yells some stuff out, and I go, what was that? And then I hear silence, because that's when it's quiet. They're like, oh, it's not TV. This guy can hear me. And like, dealing with hecklers is like, now you take that Twitter world, and now you go into the real life, where now it's like, okay, now you can get called out on it, and when you can, that's when a lot of people back off.
It makes sense that this as an entity would take away humanity, that the moment a human appears as a human, then everyone has to go back to human behavior. But I am so proud of the job that Juju does representing us on social media, and I worry about Juju's general mental health because spending that much time in that acid pit, I don't believe is good for anybody. And I have conversations with Juju all the time where I'm just worried about him because I don't think it's a good place to spend an addicted amount of obsessive compulsive time. I think it's poison in ways that affect mental health that we will know 20 years from now that we don't even understand now because all of us are so comfortable with the new normal. When I say all of this, Juju, your thoughts are what? People on the internet are what? I know that it's a broad question, but which is closer to the truth? People are really that awful? And that's just the most honest version of themselves? Or people are better than I think they are. They're just unhappy in a lot of places, and that's how it comes out.
I think people are actually that awful. Like, if I show you my DMs, I got more N-words than the basketball team, you feel me? But we also did a poll a couple of – don't do this. We did a poll back in about a month ago, and it said, have you ever wished that someone did bad that you don't like or something? I forgot the wording of it.
Wished ill on somebody.
And the poll was like 80% yes, and I couldn't believe it. I don't give a damn if I hate you. I don't hope you do bad. I don't, like, salute to Emily. You know, I hope she doing terrible, but I don't hate you. You know what I mean? So I think that fear that
Emily's the only one. Everyone else we wish well upon.
You feel me? So I think that is just people come in, and I think that's their real selves, because even sometimes I come back online and DM them back and like, yo, bro, did you really mean this? Yeah, you don't deserve this. You got a handout. Those people don't even know you at that job. You just got a Greg Cody tattoo, and that's the only reason that they try to demean my value of my self-worth. You feel me? So, and they don't never back down. So I think people are just that bad.
But Juju, I'm gonna say this: it's still the anonymity. It's still easy to say things to someone you don't have to see, or even in the case of Lucy, you don't have to hear because there's no reaction. So I think a lot of people are real tough and brave when they don't have to deal with the actual consequences. It's kind of like how people think murder is easy, like killing someone is easy, until you have to actually take a life and watch a life leave the eyes of the person in front of you. And that's why a lot of people throw up or, pass out or do whatever when they actually do that, because it's not easy to strip away your humanity when it's on display right in front of you.
You're of the belief that people out there think murder is easy?
Oh, yeah. I'll kill her. Like, people think that, but it's like, then you got to actually do it. And it's not so easy.
I don't think anybody
Hardest part is a cleanup.
Nah, I know a lot of rappers who think it's easy. You know what I mean? I've been a lot of places where people think it's easy until something actually happened, and you have to show somebody something.
We can ask Witty.
Well, I found that the dismemberment is the hardest part.
Yeah, just get a pig farm and take the teeth out, get a pig farm, it'll be done.
Yeah, the old Silence of the Lambs sequel. That's how Hannibal just fed his enemies to pigs.
That was a prequel.
Transition.
No, the Hannibal one.
Oh.
Yeah, where Clarice was not played by Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Going back to your question on are people more themselves or less themselves on the internet, I think that there's an age cutoff. I think if you look at like LeBron James, 38 years old, he is less his true self on the internet. I think anybody older than him,
Gilbert Arenas,
being more authentically themselves on the internet because the internet was given to them once they reached adulthood. And so now they have this anonymity to be able to just release all of these thoughts they've been keeping in forever. Where those of us who grew up with social media, we've been performing as content creators because these social media websites have been telling us to do so since a young age. And so we all have these internet personas that have pieces of us, just like, our personas on the show have pieces of us, but ultimately, like, our internet personas are a character.
Brad, what is your experience on the internet?
Oh, I'm fine, Dan. I'm fine. Just putting out everyone's very supportive of stand-up comedians on the internet. It's amazing. They don't latch on to one certain physical characteristic of yourself and just say that's the reason for all your success and that's the reason you're known. They don't do that at all. They don't say that you're a one-trick pony and only have one joke. It's very supportive. I don't know what this place is.
I agree. Whitney Cummings is pregnant.
You get a lot of "you're not funny," right?
Yes.
it
Thank you, Dan.
It's a professional funny person. No, it's just a professional funny person being told by people who aren't as funny and don't make their living at funny. People that he doesn't have to respect their opinion on funny, telling him he's not funny.
Does that land on you the same way that, like, occasionally you'll get, you don't know anything about sports? I'm like, I do. I know a lot.
Honestly, the thing that gets me the most, you could tell me I'm not funny because I perform to live audiences who laugh. That reaction you can't fake, so I know I'm funny. The thing that drives me the most nuts is when I announce my tour dates and someone just goes, "When are you coming to Denver?" And I'm like, "Denver, last week. I was there." And this happens every week. Next week I'll get, "Dude, you never come to South Florida." Last week, I was there.
Where are you tonight?
He's in Dania Improv this weekend. BradWilliamsComedy.com for all things Brad Williams.
All right, everybody.